Hi everyone, I'm Bianca.
And I'm Byron.
And today we are joined on the Self-Made Book channel with the amazing Leanne. She is the founder of Distinct Physio and an amazing physio and clinician. By her own volition, we asked her, what do we say about you? She said, I'm amazing. And I said, fantastic, we like that. So Leanne, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Tell us a little bit about you and how you started Distinct Physio.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's an interesting story. So one of the things that I've always wanted to do with physiotherapy in general is try and get to the end of people's journey. So what I used to find when I worked for the NHS or even in private healthcare, people would come in with their acute injury, you'd rehabilitate them up to a certain stage, and then either their insurance ran out or the time between appointments was too far apart, they'd get better and they wouldn't come back.
Right.
So, and there was never enough time in clinic, in that setting, to be able to follow people up or find out what they were up to. You know, how did their journeys come to an end? Was it because you were so amazing as a physio and you were discharging them? Yeah. Or actually, did they think that you were shocking and didn't want to come back to you and also didn't know how to tell you that? Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
So by default, I can call myself absolutely amazing because no one's told me that I'm not, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, you say that laughing, but we put a post up on our Instagram saying, who should we interview next for this channel? And you came up at least like 7 times or more
wow. Yeah,
by
crazy.
different people. So you must be, you're probably fair in calling yourself amazing. I'm going to assume that's the case.
Yeah, I am pretty passionate about physiotherapy. And I think, you know, even from when I started the business, it was like, okay, I knew that one of the things for me was I want to know how people are doing. So I'm contactable. People can ping me a message and say, Leanne, you know, I'm going away on holiday and I'm a bit concerned about how my back's going to feel with lifting the suitcase, and I'll give them a few little hints and tips. Or I will say to some of my patients at the end of a session, look, we're rounding up. I'm probably not going to see you for about a month because you've been doing really well, or 2 weeks or whatever it is. But if you're having any problems in between, give me a shout. You know the online booking link. So if you're having any problems, it's not about you suffering in silence because we said we weren't going to see you for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever. Come in. So I think that this has really helped with the relationship that I have developed with my patients. To some degree, it's absolutely amazing. To another degree, I can't replicate myself. So if I want that in another clinician who's equally as hungry about their business as I am, are they going to be equally as passionate? And you run that, and as I'm sure you know, you run that risk, don't you? If you take someone who's equally as passionate as you are, actually, are they coming to work with you because maybe they want to start up their own thing? You know, maybe it's like, actually, do you know what I mean? So I originally started off doing home visits across London and Hertfordshire. I grew up in Harrow, so London's really accessible for me. I had some contacts within central London and used to do quite a bit of networking there. But I live towards St Albans. So for me, and my dad was concerned, I'm going to say my dad was concerned that I was doing home visits in places and you didn't know the people.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. There's a risk there, of course.
Of course. Now, one of the things for me, and I know sometimes they say in business that you haven't necessarily got a solid business if everything's on word of mouth, but particularly with physiotherapy, it's like going to do your hair, right? No one wants to go to get their hair done, even a barber, you know, you're getting extensions. Nobody wants to go and see someone, you know, oh, your hair looks good. Where did you go? Who do you see? And when you go to that barber, you don't want to see every man. You don't want to sit in every man's chair. I need to see X because he did that good job on your brethren. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the same with physiotherapy. So I know I've left a couple of clinics. One clinic in particular, you know, they contacted me the other day and they said, you know, a lot of people keep asking, you know, where you are, if you're coming back. And I say very openly, you're more than welcome to give my details. Now, obviously, they run the risk then that is everyone going to like migrate to, and I can't see everyone, but there's certainly enough bodies within an area for me to be able to treat. And people can find me Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. I'm pretty much everywhere, and I'm very visible on social media. I try to be because I like it.
Yeah.
So where does this passion come from?
I know. the passion is who I am anyway, right? So I feel like I've always been that person who's like quite enthusiastic, and I was a gymnast. So I grew up being Leanne the gymnast, and as an adult, I am now Leanne the physio. And sometimes I think, oh, I am other things too. You know, when I meet people, instantly they want to talk about physio, and I think, yeah, there are other aspects to it. But I think that the passion kind of comes from the commitment. So when I'm finding out about things, I want to know about things like to their nth degree. I'm that person who kind of, I'm processing it. And then I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to see how that works. And I want to see how that works with a few people. I had physiotherapy as a gymnast when I sprained my ankle really badly. And I think the physios at the time were just more interested in my flexibility and my physical strength. I was like 12. Rather than being focused on my injury at the time. And I kind of carried that injury into my adult life. So I think some of the commitment also came from, actually, it almost doesn't matter what you do. If you can only lift your leg to here, but you need to be able to get it to here, there's a deficiency there, right? And with my background, I'm like, right, let's find out what it is. Other people are going, wow, you can lift your leg to here? You know, if I'm a contortionist, then I need to be able to get in and out of that box. Here doesn't help me.
He's not helping. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So some of the commitment for me has come from the fact that I have a real appreciation for the body. My grandmother was also an orthopedic nurse and was for nearly 40 years. And she used to drop the NHS physio leaflets that the patients were given to my mum's. So she wouldn't always stay, but she'd compile this little book of physio-related things. And she was really passionate about her nursing, you know, over in the, you know, with the Windrush in that era. She kind of worked her way up and was given a really like massive opportunity with nursing. And I mean, like she smashed it. So some of my commitment, yeah, and passion comes from that too. She used to say to me, you treat your patients like they're your family. Don't do to them what you wouldn't want done to you, you know. And I think that that's probably the balance that I try to find with my patients. So I build up solid relationships. If I think something's not going right or the action plan needs to be changed, I will have that as a conversation. And people will call me and they want to discuss, you know, a situation with their mom who's elderly. And I think, you know, when somebody answers the phone to you, if you're going to work with them or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do I want that person to look after my mum? Is she going to be empathetic enough, sympathetic enough? Is she going to take time with her? If the person's hurrying on the phone or they don't sound like they've had the experience, you're not going to call them. You don't want to work. You know what they say? You know, I'm going to call you back.
Yeah.
And they don't call back.
They don't call you back. So what was that transition like for you from the NHS to being a business owner and, you know, having your own space?
I want to say that my business has grown like quickly in terms of, you know, this is now my 4th year and I'm doing things that I never even imagined, right? So a part of the transition was like me going, oh God, I'm creative. Like, I didn't know I was creative. I didn't know I could stand in front of a camera and present to people for 60, and that I could do it succinctly in 60 seconds. Like, I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know about my ability to network and communicate with people. And like, I don't think that the NHS allowed me to recognize the depth of who I was as a person, because there's been a huge personal development for me in this role. And although because I was prompted to do my master's by senior clinicians within the NHS, so I feel like they saw some of my potential, but I didn't know it. And there wasn't enough room for me to really spread my wings to know it, right? So then you go into a situation, and a part of it in my head was, I treat people in a room on a one-to-one basis. My manager's not sat in the corner asking me if I think I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing the right thing. Or if I'm not, we try something else. So the what I do as a physiotherapist in a space of my own is no different. The stuff as a business owner is different. So, you know, the handling of the things within the back office, room rentals, invoicing, making sure that my online booking system is working, liaising with, you know, accountant and business advisor, seeking people to get on board with me from a paperwork point of view, managing my own, leave and time out from the business, that balance of sleep, fitness, work, patience. Those are the things that I've had to deal with over the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I always say I have suffered with anxiety since I was a child, right? And I couldn't have told you how I learned to manage it, because I don't think I ever really knew. But working for myself has given me the opportunity to address my anxiety. It gives me the opportunity to food prep consistently. I eat well. I don't, I'm not someone who's overly doing things like processed foods. I'm, my fish is in my bag. My vegetables are there. I'm going to go to the fruitiers and I'm going to get my avocado to go with that. My water in my purple bottle, because that's my brand color, is there for me. So, and then I've been able to explore things like hypnotherapy, and I've been able to have conversations with other people, or even to explore conversations with my patients who, when I'm speaking to them, I'm understanding that actually there's a little bit more to this patient, and they haven't just come to me with a neck issue. There's an underlying issue at home, or they are anxious about the job that they're working in. So then I start to have conversations with people on a level, So transitioning from working in the NHS to where I'm at now, I'm older and I'm a little bit more wiser, I suppose. But it's opened a platform for me that's made me go, this is who I am as Leanne Antoine. And it changes, it's evolving. I've met people along the way that have really helped that journey. I've met others and I've thought, God, I need to get rid of you. But from like an energy and a vibration point of view, it's been liberating. That's probably the best way I can describe it.
I want to know about this food prep. I mean, we need to get into this food prep life.
We talked about it, and you said that Sundays we're going to take it in turns on a Sunday.
I'm making a note right now.
It didn't happen.
Yeah.
Food prep.
The one. So, I mean, even the trainers at the gym, one of the girls said to me the other day, she was like, your food prep's like pretty amazing. And I was like, oh, is it? Now, I work a long day. I can work a long day. So if I know that I'm going to be extremely busy and I'm on the move, once I've got my protein, I don't eat meat, right? So once I got my fish or my seafood or whatever it is, that's my base. If I have to buy vegetables or I need to buy brown rice or whatever, I can get that. But there is nothing better than having that little food parcel, being able to pop that in the microwave and be like, boom.
What is in it? We want to know what's inside your average days. This meal, you're making me get hungry now as well. Jesus.
And once you put a little bit of West Indian seasoning, you're all good, yeah?
All right.
So today...
Consistency and being organized.
Preparation. Being prepared.
Yeah, I have to be. So to me, I've been to the gym this morning. I've already done some work. I've been to the gym this morning. My food prep's packed and ready to go. I knew I had a meeting with you, so I needed to be on time. Internet needed to be scheduled. So I boosted up my protein shake. It had banana, cinnamon, peanut butter, coconut milk, so that I'm locked up. I'm good. You're not going to hear my stomach, growling through the middle of this,
I love that.
Lunch, I've got my fish. It's got vegetables. I've got like spinach and broccoli and some brown rice. And it's also made me explore things like, chickpeas and kidney beans, because I always ate meat. I grew up eating meat. I come from a household where, curry mutton and rice and peas was there's a way to go.
Yeah.
But for my own health reasons, I've put that down. It's probably been a year and a half now. And food prep for me, it's usually a meat, some form of vegetables, and some form of carbs. I'm a massive fan of sweet potato. I prefer skin on to skin off, but whatever takes your fancy. And then if I can't do the sweet potato because I haven't had the chance to boil it or roast it however I want it, then I will brown rice it. And if I can't do the brown rice myself, you can get Uncle Ben's if you need to, that you can put in a microwave, and it's like £1.30 or something.
Sure.
There's no reason now for people to say that all they do is eat fast food. My food prep, my exercise, for me, from a mental health point of view, and being a business owner, are paramount. If I am not fit and I am not healthy, I cannot work. And for me, I feel like it's a vibration. If I'm like that and I'm low, my patients come in and they're like, I'm not so good either. It's like they feel it, that even.
They can feel the energy. Yeah.
You know.
So what would you say to anybody that's interested in potentially a career path as a therapist, physiotherapist? What would you say to them? What advice would you give to them?
This quite mixed, right? So when you need to enjoy it, you know, because it's front facing. As a business owner, I'm the one who will say, you know, I've got a card machine and I'll say, you know, I'll take card payment, for example. And if you don't value yourself enough, you don't charge enough. And then you feel awkward about taking the money and stuff like that. So if I've got people who I think that, you know, I think I want to do physiotherapy, number one, get some work experience, shadow, see if it is really like what you want to do. Because I see people who come in, they're bubbly, they're bright, they're fit, relatively fit and healthy. And I also see people who really struggle. They struggle with their mental health. They've got pain in an area of their body, but actually they have pain all over their body, fibromyalgia, complex regional pain syndrome. They have other problems that will complicate their rehab. And if you're not someone who's patient, you can't go on that journey with them. It's too difficult because it's such a bumpy road. I see people who have quite complex surgery. So I had a lady who had a spinal fusion. It's a second back surgery. She's gymming with me. She's lifting weight. I know she wants to get back, and she's, you know, not trained for a few months. And then I'm steadily there, like trying to hold the reins a little bit, because I know once I let her go, she's going to be lifting heavy, and some of that's then on me when she's injured. You know, liaising directly with the trainers. So if you're someone who can't communicate very well, it's really difficult to take one hat off and put another one on. But I think that you need to be passionate about it, because you're hands-on. So you're in people's personal space every day that you work. They're in yours, you know. And if you're one of those people who's like, I'm not really that touchy-feely, this could be a difficult job. Right?
Yeah, sure.
When I treat my mum, and she'll hate me for saying it, but if I have to treat my mum, she's like, oh, my mum's not touchy-feely. Physiotherapy is touchy-feely. So I know that despite being her daughter, I'm in her private space, and she's evaluating, even though she knows I'm her daughter, she's evaluating how she feels about that. Yeah. You know? So if you're not that good with touch, and you're not that good with communication, and you don't have patience, don't do it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I guess because when you talk about, just now I was talking about the food prep angle, and then talking about maybe clients that have things like fibromyalgia, do you then bring that into, because I know your job is just, you know, is physio, but do you say to them, actually, this is, you know, looking after your body and looking after your bones and muscles is more than just about getting physio and being fit, it's also about what they're eating? Or is that not really your...
Yeah, so obviously within my scope of practice, I'm allowed to do, you know, a certain amount. Now, one of the things that I get told quite a lot, and I will treat some quite complex patients, I think maybe because of my background and maybe because of my approach. When I say to people, for example, I will address you if you're overweight. I will address you about your weight, right? You know, it's like the pink elephant in the room. Why am I not going to say to you, you're a bit overweight? I won't necessarily say it like that. Sure. I might ask you if you've considered managing your weight, or I'll ask you what you've done to manage your weight in the past. If I don't address those things, but I know that excess weight is going to increase additional load to your joints, how am I going to move forward with you when you're telling me that you've got pain in your knees? Where are we going with that?
Yeah.
Sure. Do you know what I mean?
So my scope allows me.
Manipulation or exercise.
The problem is still there. You need to address the problem.
Correct.
And then you can get to resolving. Okay, yeah, I get it. Yeah.
There's also the fact that if you're a smoker, you're slower bone healing times. Yeah. So.
Oh, is that? I didn't know.
Yeah, scientifically.
Smokers, you're just like...
Yeah. They always ask, are you a smoker? No.
Yeah, and that's the same for me. But it's thinking about when people, and the most important part of my assessment is the very first time I meet people. They get to tell me the story, the journey at that point, and I'm processing it. I'm listening. How many children? How active, not active at all? What medication are you on? What's your general health like? Are you someone who, you know, I'm seeing a medication there, but you haven't told me anything in the health history that relates to that. So why are you taking that if I don't know, you know, what it is? And then, oh yeah, I struggle with stress. I struggle with anxiety, and I've always taken a low dose of, you know, and then memory bank. That's what I call it. I'm memory banking these pointers. I'm instantly thinking, right, if that person's telling me they've had their problem for 10, 15 years, they struggle with stress, they're not very active, I then want to know about the rest of their lifestyle. What do they eat? How well do they sleep? You know, if you're not getting your sleep, how well do you recover? Right, is that something that I can talk to you about? And even though I can't advise you with sleep, can you start to think about it a little bit more? Do you need to see a sleep therapist? Can you maybe address some of the things, you know, the things that we see all the time? Don't go on your phone, or make your brain more active an hour before bed. Have you tried a hot soak in the bath just to wind yourself down? What's your routine before bed? So I talk to patients about these kinds of things, because I think that a lot of people do things so routinely that they don't even realize that it's not that great for them, because it's what they've always done.
Sure.
Classic example is this. My neck's really, really sore. I've been working at the same desk for 5 years, and I don't know why my neck pains come on now. And you say, okay, so there's been no trauma? No. You've never had a neck problem in the past? No. You're like, okay. And the same desk and the same, yeah. Tell me about your workstation. Oh, yeah, I've got 2 screens. And I'm like, right, okay. And how are they located? Well, I'm at this slight angle. And I look here, and I look here, and I look here, and I look here. Yeah? And I've been doing that. And I've been doing that for 5 years. I'm like, right, so the nature of your problem is basically you're suffering with micro trauma to your joints because of how you've positioned them. And we think, don't we, because I've been doing X for so long and it hasn't hurt me, it must be okay.
Yeah. Why is it hurting now?
Yeah, our bodies are aging every day. And
oh, when she said aging.
I had a sudden pain in my neck.
What, gee?
I didn't even say a word. I just had a sudden pain in my neck. That's all. I need to see a physio.
Okay.
I know one.
Yeah.
But I think that because, yeah, we get into routine. So we then think that how can that, you know, that one thing I've been doing for the last 5 years, how can that be the problem? You know, when was the last time you changed your pillow? You know, how long have you had that mattress, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of people end up coming to me with problems that they don't know how they've always got them. But when I ask them about their routines, actually certain things need to change and they need new routines. But if no one ever highlights that to you, because when you live with your husband, you're living with your wife, she doesn't tell you that I think that there's time for change, because that's your routine. You guys have always done that.
Yeah.
You know? When you come to physiotherapy, I say to people, this is like your restart. I'm hitting your reset button, boom. And we're going to look at everything. And I'm going to say to you, change this, this, and this, and do 3 exercises for me. And come back to me in a week and tell me how you're getting on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes sense. Are you finding that now, I guess, with you mentioned computers, workstations, people using their phones too much, so you kind of get this posture on the tube, or, you know, Netflix and chill. Are you finding that all of those things are adding to the stresses and strains that you're seeing now for most of your patients?
For some people, like, you know, I had somebody come in the other day and they said whenever they get into bed, they lie down on their left side and then they've got their phone, right, in front of them. And they're kind of like propped like this. I mean, you know, I feel sorry for their wife almost, right? But they're back to that person and they're on their phone. Now, this has become a routine. And then you're not sure why your neck and shoulder on that side really hurts. But when I start to ask you about your sleep and stuff, you're like, actually, do you know what? Before bed, or people are watching series, aren't they, on that screen, like this on the way to work, commuting. I don't think people report problems that they think are caused by the use of their phones and screens. Computers, maybe so, but definitely not phones. But then they tell you a problem, and when you ask them certain questions, and they're like, actually, I am on my phone quite a bit, aren't I? And then I'm like, so maybe it's worth thinking about that. And when you go to bed, if you know you're going to go on your phone and there's something in particular you want to look at, why can't you sit up in the sofa and look at that before, like, you know? Yeah, good point. But the computer, laptops, I think are a little bit of an issue. I mean, it's GCSE season right now, yeah? So I have lots of parents bringing their kids in because their kids are in the same position for a prolonged period of time. And then the classic is she sits on her bed with the laptop on her legs. Now, for starters, you shouldn't do that anyway. You know, it's not safe. And if you're working, you're working. So get at your desk, put your computer on your desk. Maybe your laptop needs mounting if you're going to be on it for a prolonged period. Maybe, I know when I was doing my master's, I had an external keyboard. You know, maybe you're someone who needs to buy something that extends on the side to have that document hanging down so that you can read from that document without having to lean down and pick up and lean down and pick up. Mm. So when I start to make these, and you know, for those things to mount your laptop, it's like a tenner from IKEA. Yeah. But if no one told you to get one or you didn't think it was needed, you don't go and it's £10. Mm. Now you're spending 65, 70 quid with me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, technology per se. I think computers as a thing. You know, we have a term work-related disorders. This has been around for a long time. Repetitive strain, neck, back, shoulder problems related to people being on computers for long periods of time. That has always been a thing. But I wouldn't tell you that I now see more thumbs because we're like texting away, you know? No? Netflix and chill. Like, God, I'd love to get embedded in some of that culture. I sure don't have enough time. So you'll never see that hashtag at the bottom of any of my posts. Never Netflixing and chilling, right?
But series to watch. I'm going to change your life.
Wow. That is
Bianca, I dare you.
That statement is deep.
What is?
That the statement she made is deep.
I said to her, I dare her. Did you hear me? I was like, I dare you, Bianca.
She said, I'm going to change your life.
She sounds better than me.
Not necessarily the better.
Jesus. All right. If that comes with a refund or like a
disclaimer, right?
So can you give our viewers and listeners some top tips if they're a busy entrepreneur and they haven't quite encountered any pains in their neck, back, shoulders, or anything like that? Well, give us some top tips that to stop it from happening.
Oh, okay. So I was going to say, actually, most people have had some form of injury or something, yeah? But if you're someone who hasn't, I still urge you to look at your workstation, number one, yeah? Number two is check your sleep, yeah? Number three is probably about your water intake, your food prep, you know? Healthy body is healthy mind. And number four, move more. I can't stress how important it is to, you know, I can't. Well, yeah, that's it. You know, I can't stress how much our bodies need that lubrication, you know? And I think when we recognize as well, and some of my education is around this, when we recognize that pain doesn't mean you have to stop, I just think people will do so much better. Pain might mean you need to modify your activities or reevaluate how you do them or how often, you know, or even the load that you're lifting, but it doesn't mean stop, you know. When people stop, they get weaker, yeah, and the muscles and the structures, the ligaments, the tendons, whatever it is that's surrounding an area becomes weaker too.
When you say sleep, can you elaborate a bit more so that we know what you mean?
Yeah.
When you're sleeping, or the length of time and quality of sleep you're referring to?
Yeah, you're probably looking at about your 7 to 8 hours because of your cycle patterns of your sleep.
In what? In one night or in 2 nights?
I know.
What do you mean? I don't understand.
I mean, I've said this to you, and you just think I sleep a lot.
Is this 7 hours? I'm getting uncomfortable.
I know. Well, I'm slightly moving in my chair because practice what we preach, and I'm going to tell you now, even if I get 7, I do not get 8. And sometimes I'm lucky if I get, I don't know, maybe it's not good for air. Do you know what I mean? But
no, you know, we know you're getting 7.
But I'm a business owner. Right? So when you ask me about that transition, NHS, going through a period of time where you are not sleeping or you're sleeping like less, it happens, and it is something you have to deal with. I think sometimes it's quite nice when people get you to check yourself, like, you know, Leanne, I saw you, and I have one of the trainers at the gym who does it. Leanne, why are you messaging us in our group chat at this time?
Guilty.
And then when I go into the gym and I'm in the gym for 6 or 6:50, he's like, yeah, so you messaged at this time and you're in the gym at this time. He's like, yeah. So I have people that check me, and make me go, okay, you know what? I probably do need a bit more sleep here, but more than anything, I'm like my own Duracell. So if things are going down a little bit, I'm usually getting a few signs. I don't know if you guys have seen me on Instagram, but I just came back from Barbados. And Bianca, when you were in Barbados, what, a year and a half ago?
Yeah. Is it nearly 2 years
Nearly
now?
2 years now. April time,
mate. Saying, because I was in Grenada and I was going over to Barbados then. Yeah. And I was like, you're going to be doing some talking. And I was like, if you're there and I can get over. But I don't think I wasn't sure if the event happened or not, because we would have connected then. And then like yesterday, I was coming to the business event and I had a few other things to sort out, so I couldn't. But I'm coming to your event on Tuesday and I'm really
looking forward. Yay, fantastic.
Ticket signed, sealed and delivered, you know what I mean?
So it's sold out now, it's sold out.
Yeah, well, listen, I got in there, right?
Good.
I got in there.
Awesome.
So I feel like, the communication thing's been like on the cards for a little while, but just hasn't happened. And then all of a sudden this opportunity came up and here we are. Yeah.
Stars have aligned.
Completely. Yeah. That takes time. You have to appreciate that in business too. Okay. I think, when you start in business and you have this amazing idea, and I was listening to the beginning of your self-made book, in your head, you thought of something that people need. In my mind, people wanted to complete their physical journeys and they weren't getting to do that in the NHS and they weren't getting to do that in private care. So I set up something that I felt like I could get to the end of people's journeys. And most of the time it's not the end. It kind of comes to a close, but they may come back with that problem or they may come with something else or they might bring their children. So I'm kind of that physio who knows, your gran, your mum, your daughter. I know generations of people, but I think that there's this whole thing that you start and you have this vision and in your head, that's exactly how it's going to go, and you don't actually see how it could possibly deviate from that. So me doing home visits, how does that then become me having, I'm in one location, and then how does that become, we've headhunted you for this members only gym? And then how does that become, there's a clinic space that without me even looking for it, without me even putting that down. But what I was doing in that time, whilst these things were obviously preparing to come up and the stars aligning, I was networking. I was thinking about the development of my business and how that was going to go. So I was contacting people in offices. Did they need physio or wellness, teaching or training or education? And I put all of these things out. They're not the things that came back. They're not the things that came back, but the right things came back because I was open to receive them. That's at least what I think, So a part of you has to trust the journey. And then I think you were both talking about believing in the concept of the business that you're developing, but sometimes that not being enough. I think the belief means that you try harder.
Okay.
It's not going quite as well. I think you go, right, you don't try to climb the mountain, you try to go round it. Sure. Can you put a tunnel through it to go underneath, the belief, I think that's what the belief gives. And it gives, and that's also about the passion too, right?
Yeah.
But then as a result of that, if it's not working, you're then also going, right, where is the gap? What have I missed? What are my competitors doing that I'm not doing? I often feel like I don't have enough time to know what my competitors are doing. But you know what? The minute I see them doing a Feel Good Friday on Instagram, I know I've missed a trick. Because these things are my education and marketing tools. How are they now utilizing what I'm doing? And I didn't see that coming, Or I set up a private members Facebook group for physios. I am a private physio because we're in a climate where insurance companies are using intermediary bodies and they are bringing down the price of physiotherapy.
That's crazy.
I'm like, I was in Barbados and you couldn't get a massage. This was at the Hilton for less than $150. Now I was like, is that US or is that, Beijing? They were like, that's US. right? Over here, you'd struggle to get a massage for less than 60 quid.
Yeah.
Now, if you're trying to cut physiotherapy down per half an hour, and I've done 8.5 years of study. I did a 4-year undergraduate part-time degree, and I've done a 4.5-year master's.
Yeah.
I'm probably not even charging the real value of my service, but it's got to be competitive and it's got to be market rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people are paying
the insurance companies are driving down the prices.
They are, yeah.
But the insurance
and private physios, because even when I had physio, they went to their chosen provider, and it wasn't private physios anymore.
Someone has agreed to that.
Yeah. But what patients have to realize, number one, when you go and see a physio, how long has that person been qualified? I'm not saying, no, I am saying someone who's just fresh out of uni is not going to be as skilled as I am at 13 years of qualification. There's no way. They're not going to have the skill level. So when I have insurance companies come to me and say, I've got this slightly complex patient, they were having physiotherapy with one of our other providers, but we'd like to transfer them to you. I know they've probably seen someone who wasn't really that experienced. They probably had no real issue with the relationship they built up with the physio, but the physio wasn't helping them to get better.
Yeah.
Hey, peanuts get monkey. You know, it's that whole thing.
So you're saying really it's about having a goal, having a vision, and opening yourself up to opportunities by doing the most, doing as much as you can.
Yeah.
And even though sometimes the direction you end up in is not what you had anticipated, by putting yourself out there, by networking, by building your communication and value, people come to you. Okay, fab. We've got time for one more question.
Oh, go on. Yeah.
I think just a question on. I know from our previous conversation off camera that having generic exercises isn't always the best thing because it's not good. It doesn't cater to your specific needs. But is there anything that people should be doing on a daily basis, in addition to having physio and so on? Is there anything they could be doing to make their flexibility better?
I think that a lot of people, particularly as we get older, we're not so aware of the way our body moves, you know? And I'm going to call out post-pregnant women as an example. If you going through that 9 months, a lot of women, you know, they haven't laid down on their tummies and they haven't been able to, you know, from about 3 months on. So when I ask some mums to get onto their tummies, they're like, oh, I haven't done that. I think if you can just move your body, how often do you put your hands above your head? People don't put their hands above their head. We don't do very much with our hands above our head. Even when you go to put your suitcase in the hold above you, it's in front of you. It's rare that it's directly ahead, like over your head. So we don't spend that much time stretching and opening our bodies. And we also then become unaware of how stiff we've become and the loss of our flexibility. So my number one thing is it's not necessarily just about walking, which walking's great. You get movement through your mid and your upper body, fantastic. But it's actually about, for me, conscious movements, you know, arms, legs, you know, how does my back move backwards? You know, can I rotate my neck, you know, ease from one side to another? Have I lost any rotation? People will notice that they've lost rotation when they go to reverse the car. I just can't look all the way round.
Sure.
You know, they're only noticing these things when their body is being demanded to do a functional task. But you would probably know it. It's like checking your prostate and your breasts. If you never check them, you don't actually know what they were like in the first place. And if you didn't know what they were like in the first place, how would you know if you had a lump?
Yeah, sure.
You wouldn't know.
Perfect. So more movement and just keep trying to get that movement in and just watch how you're using technology, sleeping, workstations, the things you do most regularly.
Check yourself.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Leanne. I think we could probably be talking for another,
Absolutely.
I don't know, half an hour to an hour.
Absolutely.
I've got so many questions.
Yeah.
I know I don't do enough. Like I know I'm inspired to do a bit more.
I'm making a list. I'm getting to work.
So
where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram, Distinct Physio. Twitter, it's the same. Facebook is Distinct Physiotherapy. I'm all over those platforms. I'm also on LinkedIn if people want to connect from a slightly more business point of view. I'm looking for therapists at the moment to help develop my wellness concept, you know, kind of growing, because I think there's a need for not just physio, and I think that physio fits in with a lot of other health providers. So yeah, I'm on all those social media platforms. I love a bit of Instagram and Facebook. I do Feel Good Friday, and I try and do that every week. So if you're looking for a bit of inspiration, Byron, with your food or movement, or you want to share that with your followers, then yeah, send them that way.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, and I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in.
Thank you for tuning in.
I've been Bianca.
And I'm Byron.
Thank you very much. See you on the next Self-Made Book channel interview. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.